2023. How's everybody doing? Okay, I get that Mark's not here today, but you can do better than that. How are we doing on day 2 of MetaConnect 2023? That's what I was looking for. Thank you. You even stood up. I appreciate that. I hope you have had a fantastic first day, everybody. Okay, I get that Mark's not here today, but you can do better than that. Fantastic innovations, and maybe even try them out on your own. I saw your social media. I saw y'all on Instagram plugging what was going on and seeing all the cool things out here. We have another fun, full day today. But before we get started, let's give you an idea, and those that are watching at home, of what's coming up. First up, we have 2 blocks of lightning talks designed to give you quick introductions to yesterday's announcements that were so exciting. Then after lunch, wait, there's more. We're going to return to the developer breakout sessions where you'll either be here in person or watching on demand on video. There's plenty to choose from, whatever you're interested in. But let's get started, shall we, with one of the first of 3 lightning talks. Y'all ready for it? Excellent, thank you. So here to talk about how to realize your creative vision on MetaQuest 3, please welcome A.R. Schleicher.
Good morning. I'm sure you're all excited after yesterday's sessions talking about the MetaQuest 3. Ready to dive into some more details? I said, are you ready to dive into some more details? Great. My name is A.R. Schleicher, and I'm a developer relations engineer here at Meta. I'm proud to say I'm an original Kickstarter backer, and I've been to every single Connect. At that first Connect, I never imagined that I'd be the one up on stage presenting the details of the latest headset. So what do? Basically, I help developers solve whatever problems or challenges they might be facing with a focus on the latest hardware. This year, it's the MetaQuest 3. I'm excited today to walk you through a more detailed overview of the MetaQuest 3 headset and Touch Plus controllers and what you should keep in mind as you're developing for them. So, what is Quest 3? Quest 3 is our next generation headset that will be available in 2 weeks with a number of substantial upgrades over Quest 2. So, what's changed? Well, there's 3 main areas to look at when it comes to the Quest 3. Headset improvements. By this, I mean things like the increased display resolution or the increases in CPU and GPU processing power. As for mixed reality, the dual color cameras resulting in high-quality color pass-through and new features like occlusion, scene mesh, depth APIs, and color lookup tables. Touch Plus controllers. Here, the highlights are the ringless design, VCM haptics, and the 2-stage trigger. So let's get started digging into these details. One of the biggest upgrades for existing VR developers has to be in terms of compute. The all-new Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 platform represents an increase of over 33% in CPU performance compared to the Quest 2's XR2 Gen 1 platform. In terms of cores, there's only 6 CPU cores available compared to the Quest 2's 8 cores. Hold on, isn't that a downgrade? Quite simply, no. On Quest 2, 5 of the 8 cores were reserved for the operating system to use. On Quest 3, there's only 3 cores reserved for the operating system, meaning that in both cases, there's 3 cores available for developers. However, this does mean that some of your performance analysis tooling may need to change. On Quest 2, the cores available to applications are CPU 4 through 6. On Quest 3, this changes to CPU 3 to 5. But that's just one side of the coin. On the flip side, with the GPU, things are even better. The upgrade from the Adreno 650 of Quest 2 to the Adreno 740 of Quest 3 represents a significant boost, more than 200% the GPU processing power. In fact, we're revising some of our prior guidance. On MetaQuest 2 and earlier devices, we've had to warn developers away from deferred rendering. The GPU power just wasn't there. However, while still not for all applications, our early tests on Quest 3 have shown that this now can be a path worth evaluating and considering. While we're on the topic of graphics, let's go into some details of the optical stack. Quest 3 contains a 2064 by 2208 display for each eye, a significant boost over the 1832 by 1920 of the Quest 2. Just like the Quest Pro, these displays are rotated at an angle, making it significantly harder to pick out individual pixels, especially when you're looking at both displays at the same time. The default eye buffer size also received a boost, going from 1440 by 1584 on Quest 2 to 1680 by 1760 on Quest 3. Why not closer to the native resolution of the panel? Considering the distortion that takes place to make the image display correctly to users, we found this to be the best balance of resolution and performance. If you've got a particularly demanding application, remember that our VRCs allow you to adjust this render scale to as low as 85% of these values, while if you have extra GPU available, raising this higher can make your app look even better. The new dynamic resolution functionality available in V56 and later versions of the SDK allow you to automatically scale up and down based on application performance. What about the field of view? Quest 2's horizontal field of view depends on which IAD setting you're using, but the middle setting is 96 degrees horizontal. On Quest 3, we've increased this to 110 degrees horizontal, almost a 15% increase, and this is available for all users, regardless of how you've adjusted the IAD or lens position. Along these lines, it's worth calling out the smooth IAD adjustment of Quest 3. While those of you with Quest Pros may already be used to it, Quest 3 represents a return to a continuous IAD adjustment wheel, rather than the 3 set positions that are present on Quest 2. Another related comfort setting is how the glasses spacer works on Quest 3. Like many of you probably do, I need to keep my glasses on while I'm developing and switching between the editor and headset. Unlike Quest 2, where the glasses spacer was this odd plastic piece you'd remove the facial interface to install if you needed it, the ability to add more space for glasses on Quest 3 is built into the facial interface. Simply press the buttons located on each side of the facial interface, and then move the outer portion of the facial interface in or out, choosing between 4 different settings based on the size of your glasses. Now, let's talk about the weight of the Quest 3. The Quest 2 weighed 503 grams on its own, or 512 grams if you added in the glasses spacer. In comparison, the Quest 3, with its built-in glasses spacer, is 515 grams. In other words, it's about the same weight. However, with the changes to the form factor bringing everything much closer to your face, it's significantly more comfortable to move around and turn your head with a Quest 3. Speaking of that form factor, how did we improve it so much from Quest 2? This is largely thanks to the pancake lenses, which you may be familiar with from the Quest Pro. As we no longer need to have as much distance between the lens and the screen, we can bring all those components behind the screen, like the processor and the battery, in closer to your face. Of course, the upgrade from Fresnel to pancake lenses comes with a significant improvement in image clarity as well, removing the God ray artifacts that were so common with the older lenses. Let's zoom out for a moment and talk about RAM, storage, and battery life. Quest 3 contains 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's a 33% improvement over Quest 2. We expect most developers will use that for more detailed, higher resolution textures. However, the choice is, of course, up to the application developer, and there's plenty of other ways you might choose to use that memory. As for storage, there are 2 options available: a $499 model with 128 gigabytes of storage, and a $649 model with 512 gigabytes of storage. As games get larger and more complex, like with higher resolution textures, they'll consume more space. The 512 gigabyte model allows you to have more games and applications installed on your headset at once, making it easy to switch between them without having to uninstall one in order to have enough room to install and play another. Regarding battery life, Quest 3 does require more power than Quest 2, but has a larger battery to deliver it. While gaming, our expected battery life is about the same, about 2.4 hours of gaming use or 2.9 hours of media use. However, when utilizing the new mixed reality features such as color pass-through and the depth API, battery life will be lower. The trade-off, though, leads to some amazing results. What sort of results? Well, I'll take a moment to talk about my favorite example, Piano Vision. I took piano lessons while growing up, and while I can read sheet music, Piano Vision's approach to teaching you to play the piano is really something else. While it has modes that just use hand tracking, connecting a MIDI keyboard is where it really shines. It's just an outstanding experience that I encourage you all to try. This sort of new use case, teaching piano lessons, is the sort of thing I'm really looking forward to seeing in the years to come. What sort of amazing MR applications will you come up with? I'm excited to find out. So, what new MR capabilities does Quest 3 bring to developers? Well, first off, Quest 3 contains dual 4-megapixel color cameras. This is a big upgrade compared to Quest Pro's single 1-megapixel color camera, eliminating the color bleed artifacts you'd see in Quest Pro's color pass-through. Of course, it's an even bigger upgrade over Quest 2's black and white 640 by 480 cameras. As a result, the quality of color pass-through is dramatically better. You really need to experience it yourself. The way I describe it is this. This is the first time I've really felt comfortable looking at and actively using a cell phone from within a headset. So, what's one of the first times you're likely to use color pass-through? It's when you do space setup to create a scene mesh. As you may have noticed, we've replaced the old manual room setup of the past with a new space setup process. Simply walk and look around the room, and the Quest 3 will build up a representation of the environment around you. Applications can use this data, like they did with the old room setup data, to, say, put items on a table. But when you set up your room with space setup, this also creates a scene mesh. The Mesh API enables developers to create fast collisions for physics and navigation experiences in MR. It's a full 3D mesh of the world around you that multiple applications can use to provide more precise interactions with the world than have ever been possible before. Next up, occlusion. Occlusion is another new feature that's available for developers and allows them to create a situation where the real world blocks or occludes a virtual object that the application is rendering. The easiest example to think of here is a character sitting down on a chair at a table. The table occludes their lower body from appearing, and all you see rendered virtually is their top half. Now, this one isn't quite done yet. While you could use the scene mesh for static occlusion, it's not recommended. You'll need the Depth API to do dynamic occlusion, and it's only available as an experimental API in v57. Depth API gives you access to a real-time depth map, allowing you to occlude objects based on that dynamic information. Another new API I expect to see used in some creative ways is color lookup tables, or LUTs. Basically, this allows you to specify a mapping from one color to another for pass-through purposes. The simplest example? Imagine a scenario where you map all the green to red, and now all the plants around you in reality are red instead of green. Or take a look at the example pictured here. This room normally has white walls, and there's an orange pillow at the bottom. You can use color LUTs to turn the whole room orange, or you can be more selective and just use it to change white or gray areas to shades of green, while leaving the orange pillow alone, unchanged. Now, I'd like to set some expectations regarding compute and battery life when using the mixed reality functionality. You may have heard of this idea before. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Nowhere is this more true than when it comes to the mixed reality functionality on the Quest 3. The hardware features take up more battery power to run, and this eats up more of the thermal budget. As such, you should be aware of the constraints that exist for MR applications. An MR application that is making full use of the device may see battery life around an hour and a half instead of 2+ hours. In addition, CPU and GPU will be limited to lower frequencies and power levels in place to see if additional headroom exists. And if it does, it's something we'll consider in future operating system updates, similar to the recent changes we made to boost Quest 2. If this taste of MR has got you excited, don't worry. There's more coming up in the next session with Jay Golaguri and Britta Hummel. Now, let's talk about the all-new MetaQuest Touch Plus controllers that come with the Quest 3. The first thing you'll notice is that there's no rings, just like the Touch Pro controllers. This dramatically improves situations where your two hands are close together. No more ring collisions. However, the next thing you'll notice is that there's also no cameras. What sorcery is this? Well, we put the LEDs of the controller ring into the place plate, the black part of the controller, as well as one LED in the base of the controller, just beyond where your pinky and ring finger hold the controller. This, combined with some good use of the IMU data, along with some smart AI models, allows us to relatively accurately track the controllers without the tracking ring in a large majority of cases. One of the big differences you'll notice is when it comes to the tracking camera placement on Quest 3. Quest 2 had 4 cameras, a pair at the upper corners, and then a pair on the bottom towards the center on each side. Quest 3 also has 4 tracking cameras, but this time it's a pair at the lower corners and a pair in the center, roughly where your eyes are in a front view. This means the tracking volume between the two headsets is different. What do I mean by different? Well, larger for one thing. When comparing all the space tracked by both headsets, Quest 3 can view 91.79% of the space, while Quest 2 can only view 89.69% of the space. In other words, Quest 3 can see controllers in more of the space around you. Let's take a look at some views of the space around the user. From the top, this might look a bit concerning. Take a look at these images, comparing the theoretical tracking volumes for controllers. Quest 2 covers the area above you quite well, while Quest 3 leaves that area uncovered by any camera. However, it is worth noting that the area behind the user, where the cameras can't see, is actually smaller now than it was on Quest 2. The impact of this is actually more readily visible on a front view comparison. Now, these two images are the results of our tests to verify the difference between the areas where the controllers can be seen on Quest 2 and Quest 3. You'll notice that Quest 2 has a large area above the head where controller tracking is significantly better, and it also has a small area under the chin where tracking is better. However, the Quest 3 image shows bigger improvements. There's a large volume of space to each side of the user where controllers couldn't be seen before, but now can be seen. There's even a location that used to be a blind spot in close to the headset above the head that now gets some coverage. So, what about that area above the head? It's generally not an issue. For short periods of time, IMU data combined with our improved AI models are able to accurately position the controllers. And longer periods of time generally don't happen very often or very long. It's tiring for users to hold their controllers above their head for long periods of time. In short, the controller tracking on Quest 2 is better than Quest 3. It both covers a larger area than Quest 2, and it does a better job covering the areas you're most likely to have your controllers in. What if you have Touch Pro controllers? The Touch Pro controllers, announced at last year's Connect conference, also work with Quest 3 as well. You'll need to set up your Quest 3 headset using the included controllers, but once you've done that, you can unpair the Touch Plus controllers and pair Touch Pro controllers. So, for any applications that perform better with the unlimited tracking volume, or applications that want to make use of any of Touch Pro's other unique features, like the stylus, thumb pressure, or the thumb or trigger haptics, there's a solution available on Quest 3 in the form of Touch Pro. Speaking of haptics, well, the haptics on the Touch Plus controller are certainly improved, but not quite to the level of Touch Pro controllers. The Touch Plus controllers do not contain the trigger or thumb LRAs that the Touch Pro controllers do have, but they do each contain a single VCM haptics device in their base. This VCM allows for control over both the frequency and amplitude of the haptic effect. While it's quite similar to the VCM in the Touch Pro controllers, it isn't exactly the same. That doesn't mean you need to design your haptic effects twice, though. For the best developer experience, we recommend using Meta Haptics Studio. This application, released earlier this year, allows developers to create, audition, and integrate haptics just once, and then have them work appropriately across our full line of headsets. It's available for download now from our developer website and supports both Unity and Unreal. There's one more little secret hiding in these controllers. We've changed the index trigger on the Touch Plus controllers so that it is a two-stage trigger. What's that mean? Think of the current index trigger behavior as the first stage. Once you've fully pulled the trigger, you can now apply additional force to the trigger, and that will be measured via a second value, index trigger force. An afterburner for an extra burst of acceleration, an extra powerful boosted shot, or perhaps something requiring a bit of skill, where the user can get a little extra power, but pressing too hard will result in some sort of burnout. We're eager to see what designs developers come up with to make use of this functionality. So, how do I make use of all the new functionality? As always, it comes down to getting the latest version of our SDKs. The public V56 SDK contains some Quest 3 support, including Touch Plus controller models in Unity, and is a great place to start, while the V57 SDK, with even more, should be available within the next couple days. So, here's the point I want to leave you with. There's never been a better time to start developing for VR and MR. Quest 3's increased CPU and GPU power, along with more memory, allows you to create a more complex experience at a higher fidelity than ever before. Greatly improved color pass-through, the Depth API, and Color LUTs to power the most immersive mixed reality experiences. And, of course, the new ringless Touch Plus controller with improved haptics and the two-stage trigger. With that, you've got all the tools you need to develop for VR and MR, and Quest 3 is the device to develop for. I can't wait to see what you make.
Do you want to learn how to elevate your app's experiences with Presence Platform? Then you are in the right place. Jay Galuguri.
Good morning. Mixed reality enables a new class of experiences that let you convincingly place and interact with digital content in the real world. My name is Jay Golaguri, and as a product manager for mixed reality, let me show you how to unlock this magic in your apps. Last year at MetaConnect, we announced several mixed reality capabilities in the Presence platform. Let's take a brief look at some of the apps that you have built to date. Wow, those are some amazing apps that let you engage in a round of body combat or challenge yourself to navigate a laser maze right in your living room. Mixed reality, when done well, can improve comfort, safety, and immersion for your users. And pass-through can reduce isolation or friction when onboarding new users. Mixed reality also has the potential to increase your user engagement significantly. For example, Trip incorporated pass-through and boosted their 7-day average daily active users by over 30%. All of these applications are powered by Presence Platform's mixed reality capabilities: pass-through, scene, and anchors. You can use them natively in Unity, Unreal, or WebXR. First, let's talk about pass-through. Pass-through is amazing on MetaQuest 3, with 10x more pixels and a new AI-powered depth engine that takes full advantage of the hardware. All your mixed reality apps automatically benefit from this new pass-through. In fact, pass-through is so natural and realistic that we have redesigned the MetaQuest 3's new user experience, as well as the default home environment to be in pass-through. To take this even further, later this year, we're going to let users seamlessly transition from pass-through in home to your MR app, removing all jarring black loading screens forever. To get your apps ready, there are just 2 simple steps. First, use an instant runtime splash screen in your app. And second, just enable pass-through in your app at startup, and you're all set. Next, let's talk about Scene. What makes mixed reality truly magical is when the experience adapts to your space. Scene API on MetaQuest 3 leverages a brand new space setup. With space setup, as the user looks around, we automatically create a representation of their space, such as outlines of walls and furniture, for your apps to use. And also starting today, users have the privacy controls to choose which apps have access to this data. To enable your apps to leverage all of these capabilities of the MetaQuest 3 and the space setup, we are introducing Mesh API. Mesh API enables your apps to do things like have a game character navigate in a real space, or maybe to convincingly place virtual content that could transform, say, your living room into a forest campfire. How cool is that? Lastly, mixed reality enables freedom of movement. Users naturally desire to move seamlessly and expect their experiences to adapt to this space. Starting later this year, we will also allow users to set up multiple rooms with space setup. So your apps can leverage all of these rooms and have your users move freely in them. Now, what if we had the tools to making developing for mixed reality easier and faster? To tell us more about this, please welcome Britta Hummel.
Jay. Developing for mixed reality just became easier, faster, and more immersive. Let's start with easier. If you're new to mixed reality development, we're now making it easy to get you started. We're announcing building blocks for Unity. With building blocks, you can simply drag and drop background pass-through, camera rigs, room models, grabbable items, and so much more right into your Unity scene. It's that simple. Just drag and drop. Building blocks will be available in early October. And earlier this year, we also introduced the Unity project setup tool to easily configure a performant MR project. Now, if you already have a VR app, here's something you can try in less than a day. Use building blocks and try replacing your app's VR background with a pass-through background, if it's appropriate. This way, users who prefer staying grounded in their real environment can do so. Now, if you're already building for MR, we have 4 great updates to make development for you faster and better. Number 1, in partnership with Unity, we recently announced AR Foundation support for MetaQuest. With AR Foundation, You build MR applications once and release them on any ecosystem of your choice, not just Meta's. And we're shipping Presence Platform features on Unity and Unreal simultaneously. This is your engine, your ecosystem, your choice. 2, we're announcing the Depth API. Depth API provides you with real-time, per eye, per frame depth estimates of the environment. For example, with Depth API, we can render our virtual friend Api here behind that real chair. And that's called dynamic occlusions. And you can do it now in your apps. And if you're a graphics pro, you can go a lot further. We've designed the API so that you can bring your own depth-based effects. You can render fog. Isn't that cool? Or you use depth information for gameplay, like with this flashlight here. We're super excited about this. You can start experimenting with Depth API on MetaQuest 3 starting today. And 3, you told us developing for Scene can be challenging. Where should you place content if you don't know the user space? And how will the app look like in different spaces? Well, we listened. And today, we are announcing Mixed Reality Utility Kit. With the MR Utility Kit, you'll get spatial queries, which will make it easier to ensure your content shows up at the right place in any user space. And it's got helpful utilities for working with procedural meshes and textures, as well as dozens of pre-captured spaces. So you can test how your app looks in your user spaces, not just your own office. And all of this without donning the headset. And there is so much more. Mixed Reality Utility Kit will be available for Unity and Unreal later this year. And 4, you can now develop for MetaQuest without needing a physical device. We're releasing the brand new MetaXR simulator. It provides you with synthetic environments so you can quickly build and test mixed reality applications on your PC or Mac. Stay tuned for more on a MetaXR simulator in the next session. So let's recap. This is what Jay and I want you to walk away with today. We're making it easier and faster to build more immersive MR experiences today. Building blocks and project setup tool make it easier to get you started. Mixed Reality Utility Kit and MetaXR Simulator make your development cycles faster. And the new Depth API and Mesh API make MR development more immersive. And lastly, Quest support for AR Foundation simplifies building those MR apps across platforms. On MetaQuest 3, built from the ground up with and for mixed reality, there is no better time than today to get started building those mixed reality experiences. So check out our Presence Platform website at the QR code today, where you can read up on everything Jay and I just talked about. And so also check out our latest open source reference app, Fanto, which will show you in code how to use some of our newest capabilities. Thank you.
you are looking to delight your users and build a successful business on MetaQuest, this is the session for you. Please give a warm welcome to Jisoo Shin.
Hi, I'm Jisoo, and as a software engineer on the developer success team, I recently had the opportunity to visit one of your studios. It was awesome to see your day-to-day development process and what you're building, despite the challenges of having to keep up with the latest hardware and SDKs and even building for multiple platforms at the same time. And so you shared your pain points with all of the tools that you have to use, some tools that you built from scratch, and even the manual processes, which all take away from your core development time. This really inspired us to take a closer look at some of our most popular tools that you're using and to make them better. And so today, I'm excited to walk you through some of our most popular tools, like the MetaQuest Developer Hub and the MetaXR Simulator, share some updates that we've made to them, and also introduce some new and upcoming features that we believe will help you build and launch the highest quality version of your app. I'll start by giving a walkthrough of the MetaQuest Developer Hub, or MQDH, which is a desktop companion application to the MetaQuest and a centralized place for your development. In the Device Manager, you'll see a UI for easily managing your devices and your device settings, as well as a UI for some common ADB commands, like disabling the Guardian and the proximity sensor. There are also media capture tools like screenshotting, video recording, and casting to help you easily share your in-app experience. And as a software engineer who frequently uses media capture tools, I know how useful they are. So that's why I'm super excited to share that the team has been making huge improvements in this area. This next video I'm about to play was captured using our new wired casting experience that you'll soon be able to use later this year, which streams over USB in widescreen cinematic 4K. It captures an additional 30 degrees horizontally without cropping, so that you can share and stream exactly what you're seeing in your headset. And by the way, some of the videos captured in this presentation, like this one, were captured using this new feature. So I'm super excited for you to be able to use it on your own apps. You can also enable the OVR metrics tool to easily select metrics that you want overlaid in your headset to track real-time performance stats, like app GPU time and CPU and GPU usage. And for even more real-time tools, you can go to the Performance Analyzer to set flags on metric thresholds to easily spot issues and bottlenecks. In the App Distribution tab, you can upload your builds to your release channels to distribute them to your users. And another feature that may not be as visible is our drag and drop feature. So you can drag and drop an APK anywhere and choose to either upload it or install it directly onto your headset. And in the Downloads tab, you'll find additional tools, SDKs, and my favorite, code samples, which we're constantly updating so that you know how to build using our latest new features. And some of these code sample showcase apps we'll demo in this presentation. Okay, now I'd like to introduce some new and upcoming release channels and playtesting features. Building a high-quality app is hard, and it's time-consuming. So we know how important it is for you to get early feedback on your apps. You'll soon be able to use release channel URLs, which were designed to make it frictionless for you to easily share and distribute your early builds. From your developer dashboard, you can create new or edit your existing release channels to enable URL invites. And then share this link however you wish, whether it be sharing it internally through work or externally through Discord. And then when users and potential beta testers land on this page, they'll see your app information, as well as the ability to join or request to join your channel. Once you approve these requests, these users will be able to see your early build in their app library, where they can install and start playtesting. Now that these users have access to your early build, it used to be up to you to decide how you wanted to collect and manage playtesting feedback. You shared your struggles in this area, sometimes distributing your early builds through Discord and collecting feedback manually, not knowing if feedback is even relevant because maybe your testers were testing the wrong app version, or maybe their headset just needs to install the latest firmware update. I'm excited to share that you'll soon be able to use a new in-app playtesting feature later this year. Your app's testers will soon be able to submit feedback directly in the headset, which is less disruptive to their headset experience because they don't need to take off their headset to write down feedback and then put it back on to jump back into the app. But it also provides you with more high-quality contextual feedback. Let's go back and demo the video. While playing your early build, your testers can trigger the pause menu, which will bring up a new in-app feedback form. Here, they can add their feedback with the option of using speech-to-text, and also attach media from their playtesting session, like a screenshot or a screen recording. And once they submit this, you'll be able to see it in your developer dashboard. Now you can easily address only the feedback that's important to you by easily filtering on things like device type and app version. And you'll see more contextual information with the media that they attach, as well as the specifics of the headset that they're using. So no more having to manually collect this information or have to guess at what part of the app that the feedback is referring to. Now, I'd like to highlight some recent improvements that we've made to address some of your most common developer pain points around managing your live builds. We've made improvements to scheduled releases, which used to be a cumbersome process that can now be scheduled in one click. And we all know that app updates can take a long time, especially for large multiplayer apps. So we've added the option of securely pre-downloading the build onto your users' headsets before your scheduled launch day. So when your app launches, your users will be able to completely skip the download phase. No matter how much your build has been tested, it's still hard to predict whether your users are going to experience issues on your launch day. So if there is a problem, rather than having to immediately fix code, upload a new build, QA it, and then push it out to fix your users, you can simply use the app rollback feature to instantly revert the problem build by selecting any of the builds that you had uploaded previously. I know this was a huge developer pain point, so I hope that this app rollback feature provides you the flexibility and peace of mind that you need on your launch day. Although this is only the tip of the iceberg of all of the improvements that we've been making, we hear you, and we want you to keep providing feedback on these tools so we can help you focus on the things that matter most, like your core app. Now, I'd like to hand it off to my colleague, Xiang Wei, tech lead on the developer technology team, to dive into some tools you can use in your core app development.
Hi, everyone. Before joining Meta, I spent almost 20 years building games for many different platforms. With all my experience, I can tell you, building XR apps is not easy. Switching between your headset and the computer is cumbersome. You'll often find yourself debugging system issues instead of app issues. Waiting several minutes before checking a simple logic change on headset is not fun too. That's why we created Meta XR Simulator. There are many ways to simulate an XR headset, and we choose the hard way for good reasons. Meta XR Simulator is a fully featured OpenXR runtime that runs on your computer. You can run any OpenXR apps on top of that, including game engines. It simulates our Meta Quest and Rift headsets with a lot of awesome features to help your development. Here is the debug window of Meta XRSim. It helps you to set up the simulation and visualize what your application does from the angle of OpenXR runtime. You can choose the device that you want to simulate. Switch between left, right, or both eyes. Find all the details about the composition layers that your app submitted. Check the current status of your headset and the controllers. Find the key bindings so you don't need to remember them. And finally, record your inputs and replay them to speed up testing. Although debug window is valuable to your day-to-day development, it's not an essential part of the simulator. The simulator can also work under batch mode and supports your OpenXR application silently if you want to set up your own automated testing. Meta XRSim allows you to easily control your XR application through keyboard and mouse, or an optional Xbox game controller. Let's take a look at this short demo. You can simulate your headset motion and control input with your keyboard and mouse, which you have every day. Or you can do that with an Xbox game controller. As you can see, it allows you to easily iterate your app's interaction without picking up the touch controller every time. Meta Quest 3 provides an extraordinary mixed reality experience. But how would you build and test apps efficiently? Our mixed reality simulation can help. Powered by our synthetic environment server, Meta XRSim can allow you to easily test your app and a simulated environment. All major mixed reality features, including pass-through, anchor, and scene APIs, are simulated. The room you are seeing right now is a simulation of the pass-through. The scening of that is generated by the mixed reality game. All game objects are interacting with the environment as if you are testing the app on your headset. Mixed reality is new and exciting. It will be easy for you to explore new opportunities with Meta XRSim. In my entire game development career, multi-client testing was the hardest part. The situation is no better in XR. No one can test their app running on two headsets at the same time. With the simulator, you can run multiple apps on your computer. Each of them has their own OpenXR runtime. All the Meta XR instances can share the same synthetic environment, which makes it super easy for you to check how your application does under a multiplayer setting. Here is another demo I want to share with you. Here we have a game room at one of our Meta offices captured using Nerve technology. After importing it to Meta XRSim, you have a beautiful and photorealistic environment for your mixed reality app. Now you may ask, can I create my own synthetic environment? The answer is soon. We are planning to provide the tools for you to bring your own room to mixed reality. Meta XR Simulator is available today and supports both Unity and Unreal. If you are, thanks. If you are using another game engine, or one of those hardcore engineers who write native OpenXR apps, Meta XR Sim is also for you. We hope every one of you can use Meta XR Simulator in your development. Simulation is awesome, but you still need to optimize your app on a physical headset. We offer a comprehensive set of tools to help you do that. Here are a few tools that you will find handy. OVR Metrics tool provides a real-time on-screen graph overlay to show the performance data. OVR GPU Profiler can give you a lot of details about how your Quest GPU performs. Performance Analyzer is the one-stop solution you can find inside MQDH. MetaQuest scriptable testing allows you to set up your own automation workflow very easily. On top of them, we also help you to get the full support of some awesome third-party profiling tools, including RenderDoc, Profeto, and SimplePerf. We optimize them for MetaQuest platform to make sure they will work greatly for you. Besides all the great development tools, you could also enjoy our showcases, where you can find inspiration about how to use our cool new features to make your app even better. Here are the 3 showcases that we released early this year. They are all open sourced on GitHub and playable on AppLab. You should check them out to grab some of the best practices or even content that you want to use inside your app. We are going to release a new showcase in the next few weeks. It takes mixed reality even further and makes your home an escape room. It's very cool, right? You can find many other showcases in MQDH, GitHub, and AppLab. Check them out today and start building your next killer app. We succeed when you succeed, and we want to set you up for success. That's why it was so critical for us to understand your pain points and build tools and workflows that would actually make your life easier. We are confident that all the tools which Jisoo and I presented today will provide a huge help to your success. Continue to tell us what you need so we can help you develop the best apps ever. Thank you very much.
Model Llama. Please give it up. Warm welcome for Joe Spizak.
Woo! How's everyone doing? Come on, come on. All right. All right, welcome everyone. We're going to talk more AI. It's kind of feeling like an AI conference, which is kind of in my wheelhouse, I guess. Yeah, hopefully, don't tell Mark, but it feels less mixed reality and more AI these days. So it's an honor to be here. you know, I've been in the AI space for a while. You know, and I still remember like the first experience I had. I was walking into a UC Berkeley retreat. Has anyone been to an academic retreat? They have kind of a cool vibe to them. And I was surrounded by like industry players and, you know, Google and Yahoo and all these companies, and they were all sitting in the room and they were all like working together. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is crazy. And they were just contributing to open source and fixing things, and it was such an amazing thing that it stuck with me, and I've worked in AI and open source for the last decade as a result, if that tells you anything. And so I'm here representing Llama and, you know, the team and the community, and it's such an honor. I've worked on projects like PyTorch, if you're familiar with PyTorch, and Onyx. I've also worked on areas like AI-guided material discovery, protein folding, areas like game theory. So I've kind of hit a spectrum of different areas in my career, and it's really amazing to me that it's all been kind of built on open source, which is, again, what's near and dear to my heart. And so to kind of put it in perspective, and I guess in my perspective, given I've been working about, you know, last decade in the space, you know, back in like the 2012, 2013 timeframe, is anyone familiar with the ImageNet moment? Oh my God, okay. All right, so we'll get to that later on. You know, machine learning was this kind of esoteric, like, you know, deep lab, like academic, top company kind of thing, very, very kind of niche, very elite research. And you can see in this graph here, it's taken a while for ML to become kind of in the general consciousness. In contrast to that, though, if you look at generative AI, I mean, you can see in the kind of the red there, it's basically at the same level within 10 months or even less. So it's absolutely wild at how quickly Gen AI has kind of caught on. LLMs are in kind of our mainstream discourse, and it's really interesting how fast, you know, this is really accelerated. And there's a reason for that. I think, and that is that we actually are starting to realize the impact of this technology. It's starting to impact areas like education, healthcare, entertainment, and of course experiences like, you know, Instagram, which we of course announced yesterday with Mark. So it's really underpinning just about everything that's kind of new and innovative now. And what I'm excited about is that open source and open science actually is really underneath it all. And so I'm going to assume that people have heard of some of the things on this slide. And you know, I had the honor of working on PyTorch, which is actually a deep learning framework that allows you to author these algorithms. And it kind of became this lingua franca, this common language, this platform that the community embraced. And it gave us GPT-3, GPT-4, Stable Diffusion. I mean, we wouldn't have ChatGPT today if it weren't for PyTorch. So that kind of tells you how this flywheel has created this platform of innovation. But today I want to talk about Llama. And Llama is such an amazing community. It's not just, you know, a set of models. It really is this community that is it's really rich and innovative. And I want to just bring you in and kind of give you a little bit of history, where it is today, and where I see it going in the future. All of this through the lens of, you know, open source and open science. So if you look at Meta, though, in the history of some of the projects we've been involved with, we've open sourced, you know, Meta is one of those companies, and honestly, why I'm here and why I love being here, it's, you know, the things we do are kind of built to be open by default. So it's not even a question of whether we're going to open source something. It's just a matter of like how and when and how we get the resources and, you know, all like the details and such. But you know, by default, we think about things as being open. And I'm especially proud of some of the projects like Opacus, Crypten, where we've actually bridged ML and privacy, which has actually made a lot of the work, a lot of the products going forward very, you know, much safer and much more private. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into how this sausage is made, though. And, you know, one thing, you know, if you look back at that graph, you know, of the last 10 years, that workflow has evolved quite a bit. And I'll dive into a little bit of the details on that. But things have definitely changed, and I've seen it firsthand, and it's been kind of fun to witness it. Okay, so no one knows what ImageNet is. Does anyone know hot dog, not hot dog? Okay, a few more people, okay. So, kind of circa 2012, we kind of discovered that deep neural networks were really good at computer vision. So, prior to that, you had to handcraft features. So if you were looking for a face, for example, you would, identify the eyes and you would craft some features and you could have like a face detection algorithm. And that required, that shift to deep learning basically allowed the algorithm to actually find those features for you. And that's where you get to the hot dog, not hot dog thing, where you have a classifier that actually can say, okay, that's that is a hot dog, that is a piece of cheese pizza, whatever it is. But that was really, really an expensive paradigm. It actually required human labeling on every single piece of data. So you had these XY pairs, and it really required you to have just a large-scale annotation workforce. But it was a really powerful moment. We learned that we could train these things at scale, even though it was expensive. And then you fast forward to 2018, we kind of have the year of the transformer. And the transformer is a model architecture that at the highest level allows you to train on unlabeled data at incredible scale. And what you could do then is you could then fine tune on a small amount of your custom data and actually apply this to your application. And at the time, it was really, really expensive to deploy. We just didn't even have the compute. A lot of these models weren't optimized to be deployed at the level of scale that was required for things like language translation. But what it did do is actually give us a new state of the art in areas like translation and document generation and so on. And then you move to 2022, which is really just last year, feels like ancient history now. We brought the human element back into it, and we incorporated something called RLHF. So that stands for Reinforcement Learning with Human Feedback. And what we wanted to do is take basically that paradigm from back in 2018, but align it much more closely with what a human wants. Like, what do we want these models to actually act like? And that's actually given us state-of-the-art assistance, characters like we have, we're talking about at this conference, even generation of images and videos, and much more aligned in how we want them to be generated. And then you fast forward to present day, the model has essentially become the platform, and which is really interesting, and we're really excited that Llama actually has become that platform. And if you've ever heard the terms, prompt engineering or fine-tuning of models, it's getting easier and easier to basically take these models, incorporate a little bit of what you want them to go do, and then deploy them in an application, and it's incredibly powerful. But the net result of this is we've actually been able to bring in orders of magnitude more developers, orders of magnitude more people into the ecosystem with more diverse thinking, just more diversity in general. And it's really changed the way generative AI and AI in general, the kind of the complexion of this community. So I want to take a step back here and talk a little bit about the history of Llama, because there's actually some really fun little anecdotes of where all this came from. So I know we love to talk about Llama 2, but what about Llama 1? So we had this project that we were working on around formal mathematics. So how do you prove theorems using AI? And we actually, last year, published some work around that. You can check it out. It's on our site. But in parallel, that team, which was largely based in Paris, they started to think about what an LLM would look like that followed the latest scaling laws, had highly curated data, that could be deployed in kind of large-scale research and kind of form a foundation of research. And that was where Llama 1 came from. It was an incredibly fast-moving project. It was a lot of borrowed compute. It wasn't the main thing, right? And that really kind of sparked a lot of innovation, especially in academia. But I think one of the things we wanted to go do is, we wanted to extend and bring this to a broader audience. And that's really where Llama 2 came in. And Llama 2 allows commercial usage. It had different sizes of checkpoints, for example. So the original Llama models were 65 billion parameters, which were quite expensive to deploy in an application. And so there's 7B and 13B and 70B, and this kind of gives you a wide range of options depending on what computational resources you have. In addition, we actually released fine-tuned models, and ones that were actually RLHF. I talked about RLHF. These were aligned for chat. And so this kind of gives you kind of the foundation of, you can bring this into any type of application that you want to, any kind of conversational agent. And that's really where we are today with Llama 2. In August, we actually released CodeLlama, and CodeLlama was built on Llama 2 and basically fine-tuned on additional code. And code is actually, while it's useful for the coding application, asking about code, generating code, it's actually really powerful for reasoning as well. It improves the reasoning of these models. But why did we even do this in the first place? What are our goals? Why are we just giving away all this amazing technology? We do have a reason, actually several. So firstly, if you look at the enterprise and and kind of the commercialization space, we are obviously using the models ourselves. We have a number of use cases, as you saw from Mark's keynote and Ahmad's keynote. But the more we can get this technology into the hands of more folks that are applying them to different use cases, the more we can learn. And I'll talk more about that later on. Looks like the slide isn't advancing. There we go. So, what this allows us to do is really learn, through iteration with these close partners, allows us to learn how to more safely deploy this technology, because we always talk about hallucinations and how is this generative AI, how do we use this in different ways, and how do we get these kind of models to behave in the ways we want them to. And then lastly, all of this really ladders up to how do we build better experiences on Meta, whether that's on Instagram or some of our new characters and our AIs. Ultimately, we want to build the best and most impactful and innovative products and experiences. And so, if you look at the developer ecosystem, so I talked about PyTorch, and one of the things we've had to kind of adjust to with this new generative AI paradigm is LLMs and these really large models have actually changed the way that that models have been manipulated, managed, deployed, like how we evaluate them. Evaluation is actually a completely green field when it comes to research. Obviously, we have safety evals and things, but it's such an open area. And so having, again, something that the community is building on and having that kind of common bridge has really accelerated even our own internal stack. And so if you look at PyTorch and Llama together, it's really a common bridge for us with the community. And we can actually build things together and really grow together. But let's jump into actually some of the metrics. So starting with, get the slide to advance, please. There we go. So we look at kind of the axes around enterprise, and we look at research and some of the tools, and basically, how well is the community growing? So, starting with GitHub, and start with models. So if you look at the number of models that are coming out on top of Llama, Llama 2 has become basically a platform for others to kind of build on. And today we have over 7,000 derivative models. That means someone has taken the Llama 2 model, downloaded it, fine-tuned it on, say, a different data set, different language, improved it on different benchmarks, and it's actually really raising all boats. On top of that, we have this partner ecosystem around us, all the way from the hardware, all the way through to platforms that engage and allow developers to use Llama, to use it in API form, to fine-tune it. And at the hardware level, this actually allows us to get a lot of scale. These models are expensive for training and inference. And what we've seen is actually our partners like Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, using this as a benchmark target actually helps developers to use these models on different types of platforms like mobile devices, more cheaply and cost-effectively on cloud infrastructure and so on. And then for the platform, we just announced, obviously, the Amazon Bedrock partnership yesterday, which was super amazing. That allows you basically to use Llama in a simple API and then even fine-tune it. And so you don't need to learn any deep learning, you don't need to learn any PyTorch. Basically call a pretty simple API, and you can actually incorporate it very easily into your application. And this is actually, it really is a game changer. It's going to allow a step change level of access for developers, and it brings obviously all the benefits that running on Amazon does. And so, when you look around Llama, so when we released the models themselves, we basically put a GitHub repo out there and access to the weights and said, go off and prosper. But the community has just absolutely embraced the models and actually started to build around them. And so what we've actually seen is, mobile device support, different operating systems. There's even different language support. So if anybody programs in C#, there's a version for that. But overall, we've just seen the community embrace and actually fill in a lot of the gaps around us and really make this more of a platform. Next slide, please. There you go. And actually, this has culminated in actual enterprise adoption, which is really amazing. So coming from pure open source, from the framework and the tools, all the way to open models, and now we're actually seeing the fruits of all of this actually manifest in partners like Reliance Jio, Shopify, and Orange. And I met some of the folks in backstage, and they're really, really excited to talk to you later today. But this is what we really wanted. We wanted all of this technology to fundamentally have impact. And we're really excited that our partners are here to talk about it. And then, of course, GitHub. GitHub is the unofficial epicenter of AI development and sharing of code. There's over 7,000 repos now on GitHub that mention or use Llama. And you can see from some of the different types of projects that are on GitHub. The Yarn project, for example, extends the context window to over 100,000 tokens. Ollama is a great one. If you're just trying to get started with Llama, Ollama actually allows you to run it locally on your, say, your Mac device or your MacBook Pro or whatever it is. There's Video Llama. I mentioned Llama Sharp. So it's a really kind of interesting and diverse ecosystem on GitHub that's starting to form. And then the last piece is, it really does, take a village to, move things forward. And what we've actually seen is by putting our models out there, the community has embraced them and actually improved on some of these common benchmarks. So you can see, on average, close to 10% across these standard benchmarks that basically test how well your model reasons, things like common sense in the case of a HelloSwag. And even if you look at on the far right there, the Truthful QA, which basically is a benchmark that mimics human falsehoods, which is kind of an interesting benchmark. The community has actually improved our benchmark, our baseline models by over 46%. So the community, kind of using our models as a base, building on them, and really taking them much, much further forward than we have ourselves, which is just awesome to see. So where does this all go? That's the ultimate question. My boss, Ahmad, yesterday left you hanging. I won't leave you hanging too much, but I will give you kind of a few hints of where things are going. So number one, we are at a mixed reality conference, and you saw the Ray-Ban, the Ray-Ban stories yesterday, and just the world is multimodal. It's not purely a text-to-text, paradigm that we live in. So you're absolutely going to see, things move in different directions going forward. Secondly, safety and responsibility. We red teamed the Llama models to an incredible extent, almost like they're too safe in some cases. But this is something that we believe can be a vehicle for the community to learn about how to build safely and responsibly. And we're just excited that Llama can be that platform. And I think the last piece is community. I think we've learned a lot with PyTorch. I think we've learned that the community wants a voice. The community wants to have agency. And I think this is something that we're going to invest a lot into. And we want Llama to be that platform for them to bring their best, to bring their innovation, and really, learn and grow, and just help make this an even more open community. Thank you so much.
please welcome Han Fong to get an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the development of Meta's new AI Agents features.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today and to showcase some of the really cool work by our teams. You probably have seen the fascinating AI experiences shared from Mark's and Ahmed's keynotes. My name is Han. I'm a research scientist for the GenAI organization here at Meta. Together with Yashar, we'll walk you through some of the technology that we develop and use in our AIs. Meta AI is our most advanced LLM-powered AI assistant. It offers a natural texting experience like chatting with a friend, assisting you with many daily tasks, and is equipped with powerful plugins. It builds upon the Llama Foundation and has evolved and expanded its capabilities and making it a super intelligent reasoning engine. Just to give you a rough idea about the user experience, on the left-hand side here, you can see an example of talking to Meta AI in a one-on-one setting. When you ask Meta AI the question, you will get a high-quality and yet conversational response back. On the right-hand side here, you can see that Meta AI can actually be invoked in a conversation with a mention. Imagine how fun it would be to talk to a bunch of friends and use Meta AI to come up with new ideas. Meta AI is shown to be competitive in call assistant capabilities, which we also call helpfulness. Our user research has found that users really appreciate the conversational and engaging style from Meta AI. This Meta AI model can also improve its capability continuously and provide a better user experience over time. Additionally, Meta AI has up-to-date knowledge thanks to the integration with our search plugin, which make it very different from other conversational AI that's available today. So, how do we achieve this? The first key idea is that we combine the use of our conversational training data and a technique called reinforcement learning from human feedback. In this way, we can adjust our Llama models to the style that our product needs, providing an engaging and conversational chatting experience with our users. Meta AI is also much more concise, which is about 60% shorter in the response length compared with our Llama 2 models. Most users really appreciate the short response from Meta AI, especially on mobile interfaces. But our models can still provide a much longer response if our users ask for more details. The model behind Meta AI has a much larger context window, which is about 4 times larger than the model that we released in July. This is crucial for AIs that offer a persistent chat experience. You can imagine that when Meta AI is invoked in a group chat, the user's conversations can easily extend to tens or hundreds of conversation turns over the course of a few days. Reinforcement learning from human feedback is a popular technique that we use to align model behaviors and human preferences. However, traditional RHF is based on human annotations, so it is often constrained by the human annotation capacity. To tackle this challenge, we bring our AIs directly to our consumer interfaces, naturally forming the data flywheel. A better model can provide a better user experience and leading to even better models down the road. So, this brings to us our second key idea. We developed a new fine-tuning paradigm, which we call reinforcement learning from user feedback, aka RLUF. This enables us to optimize our large language models directly against the tasks that our users truly care about and align better with their preferences. This technique can help us reduce the potential misalignment of our consumer preferences. By combining with the data flywheel, this system can enable a higher scalability and help us train and leverage much more training data from our product surfaces. Compared with the existing paradigms that mainly achieve alignment through human annotations and self-critique-based methods, RLUF is able to further combine the usage of human annotations and user preference data. And of course, prior to using this data in training our models, we remove meta account identifiers and also take other steps to prevent models from outputting private information about private individuals. Now, let's move on to our third idea. For questions that are related to recent events, many of you might have seen the following response from a traditional LLM before. I apologize, but I am a large language model, and I don't have up-to-date information. Now, Meta AI can actually help you substantially improve this type of experience with our search plugin. Features like search are unique to Meta AI and made possible through a system called the Orchestrator, which we will talk more about in the next slide. The search plugin enables the large language model to have up-to-date knowledge. This not only helps the model answer questions that are past the model training cutoff, but in general also helps the model avoid hallucinations. We find that the search plugins can really improve the quality and the helpfulness of many of our prompts back to the users. And in terms of the experience, you can take a look at the example on the screen. When the search plugin is used, in addition to getting a text response from Meta AI, users can also get reference links to the source websites themselves. So in this case, if the users want to get more information about the website or validate some of the information, they're able to do so. And if the users are interested in seeing more related search results, we will also be able to provide a link back to the search engine. To enable a seamless experience with our plugins, we developed the Orchestrator system. This system looks at the context and the conversation to automatically determine the usage of plugins in a conversation turn. We have a combination of large language models that work together to understand which plugins are relevant, as well as how to rewrite a multi-turn conversation into a search query. After that, our model will combine the context and the API responses to generate an enriched response and send it back to our users. And this way, our users don't need to worry about specifying any plugins and can always enjoy the benefits of our ever-growing plugin ecosystem. And that's it for my talk. And coming up next, we will be talking about the really cool work in AI characters. Let's welcome Yashar to the stage.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Now that Han talked about our Meta AI assistant, I'm going to share the journey of building and scaling our AI characters, the ones that you see in our platform today with the power of Llama models. I'm Yashar, an engineering manager in the generative AI organization at Meta. I'm very excited to walk you through the journey of a unique experience of bringing Lorena, our beloved travel AI, to life with the power of AI Studio tools, model training and tuning, and reinforcement learning. Prompt engineering is a very important and crucial step in building AIs, as it enables any type of customization of the responding, ensuring that they are aligned with the way that the characters are designed, and also they demonstrate the personality trait and provide natural and engaging conversations we are expecting from them. For example, you can see on screen a very simple prompt template for Lorena. In order to scale and optimize this process, and design exactly for scale, we have developed AI Studio that helps us to create, test, manage, benchmark, and debug AI characters. This AI Studio was designed to be used by many teams and functions in the company that work on AI agents work stream. Once you are done with your prompt template, you just click on a Start Chat and start having a conversation with your AI. And ask about where to go with your family next. Or plan a 5-day activity when you're on a trip. Fun, isn't it? In addition, the AI Studio is used for release management. The crucial bridge for an AI character from prompts all the way to the journey of becoming to the users. The intuitive user interface makes it easy to manage all this process flawlessly, very safely, reliably releasing characters from internal testing all the way to external releases, and enabling this gradual rollout and automated rollback if needed. This AI Studio helped us to go from one AI to many AIs you see in our platform today. Llama models, the technology behind AIs, is amazing in assisting our users and us with various daily tasks. However, when it comes to engagement, entertainment, natural conversations, and behaviors we expect from AIs, it takes more than Llama and a prompt to get there. Let's go back to our friend Lorena. Lorena is a knowledgeable and personable travel enthusiast that holds a natural and engaging conversation with you. She asks insightful questions and provides diverse perspective. For example, are you adventurous like me? Or if you prefer urban energy, or a very relaxing beach vacation. And she creates a very friendly and approachable atmosphere for our users that makes you feel like you're talking to your travel-savvy pal. As I mentioned, it takes more than a prompt and Llama models to achieve these capabilities. Let me share with you in a glance what have been done on LLMs to achieve where we are with our AIs today. First, foundation models. AI characters in product, and especially in product applications, they usually have long system prompts. The existing Llama models are leveraging a context window of length of 4K. We continuously pre-train the LLM models to 16K and 32K long context window to bring this capability to LLMs, which demonstrates a state-of-the-art performance on several benchmarks. Next, you guessed it right, fine-tuning, right? Is a very natural and important step to develop these characteristics for all our AIs. But not only fine-tuning.
It's about data with the right quality. The data was created using techniques such as rejection sampling, preference data, the data that was designed and crafted to show exactly the behaviors that we wanted for characters and their tones, as well as safety-specific data. Data sources were precisely selected, balanced, and created and used for fine-tuning our AI character models. We also collected a large number of human preference data. Why? Because based on the guidelines that we wanted to demonstrate the behaviors that the characters were designed for, natural, engaging, and fun conversations. The data has been used with an improved proximal policy optimization, often called PPO, with an improved recipe, taking advantage of data mixing, hyperparameter tuning, and multiple iterations. Achieving tens of rounds of training, fine-tuning, and RLHF to optimize for engaging conversations would have not been possible without the right set of evaluation metrics, scalable evaluation strategy, going from manual all the way to automated evaluation, and learning from each iteration and applying the knowledge to the next iteration. This process, from prompts to models, resulted in Lorena and many other AIs that we have currently available on our platform, and you can use and engage with. I would like to present, we can go to last slide here. I would like to present 5 noteworthy insights that I believe you will find valuable. Previous slide. 1, data generation. Synthetically generated data is cost-effective and very quick way to improve the model performance if done right. 2, data quality. Data cleaning, balancing, and sampling is a key step in all iterations. 3, overfitting. The risk of overfitting is something that you have to be very mindful about. It's very easy to overfit your reward model, and you regress the quality of your model if you don't watch that very closely. 4, right evaluation, metrics, and a strategy. And last but not least is an iterative process. Learning from each step, apply the learning to the next iteration, and move fast. As we conclude our journey from AI models, from prompts and llama models, to all the AIs that you see today, I'm very, very excited about the future that we are building with all AIs. And I'm very excited to all the advancements we are bringing towards all their capabilities. We learn and grow through your experience. Please use our products and share your feedback with us. And don't forget to scan this QR code and watch closely the future we are crafting. Thank you.
enterprise adoption of generative AI is accelerating at a remarkable pace. Here with the first of two examples of this adoption is our first guest speaker, Sriraman MG from Reliance Jio.
Good morning. I'm Sriraman MG, co-founder of Find. We are a retail tech company based out of Mumbai and a subsidiary of Reliance Industries, India's largest listed company. Jio, also a part of Reliance, operates India's largest mobile network. At Jio, we are building an ecosystem of apps and services that span from telecom to entertainment to fintech and everything in between. Together, these apps and services serve over 500 million users. This year on Jio Cinema, we streamed the Indian Premier League, India's version of NFL for cricket, and clocked a record 32 million concurrent viewers for the final. Our various retail formats serve over 250 million shoppers every year. All these numbers are growing at unprecedented rates year over year, serving our customers with a personalized experience, improving our customer service, and optimizing operational efficiencies at this scale requires the use of AI and large language models. We wanted to leverage the power of AI to provide a unified experience to our customers across all our services. And for this, we are building a Copilot. A Copilot that will connect our various apps and services into one super app. For our customers, it will be a simplified one-stop shop for everything Jio. It can tell you when your Jio Mart order is out for delivery, give you a smart summary of the last episode you watched on Jio Cinema, or help you troubleshoot your Jio Fiber broadband connection. And to power this incredible experience, we chose Llama 2, Meta's open source large language model. And here's a preview of what we are building. Thank you. We started with the e-commerce use case first. We wanted to provide our customers with a seamless conversational experience to discover products, place and track orders. We wanted the Copilot to have enough user context to offer smart suggestions. Providing this experience involves working with lots of customer data. And we wanted a model that allows us to have control over our data while being robust enough to power these use cases. With Llama 2, we fine-tuned the 7B and 13B models for intent and entity detection in user messages. The fine-tuned model can detect intents like product discovery, order status, and general Q&A, and can map these to the respective Jio storefronts. We further fine-tuned the model for multi-turn chat responses by using around 20,000 chat records. For example, when a user types, "I recently joined a yoga class, what should I wear to the class?" The intent entity would be detected by the model first, and then a response would be sent by the multi-turn chat model to the user. Our Copilot is capable of answering all customer queries related to JioMart, JioFiber, and JioCinema. While the performance was encouraging, we also wanted it to come at a lower cost than other models. For this, we ran some experiments to host the model on CPUs and low-intensive GPU instances. We quantized the model and hosted it on CPU-intensive VMs and observed a throughput of 15 tokens per second. We are continuing to explore further in this direction to take full advantage of cost benefits. Now, of all the large language models out there, why did we choose Llama 2? 3 reasons stand out amongst many others. The safety and security of customer data is our #1 priority. Llama 2 gives us complete control over data and models, ensuring that our data is secure. We found building Jio Copilot on Llama 2 cost-efficient compared to other models. Rate limiting and quota issues are a blocker with other models. And all hurdles we come across during the development process are easily overcome with robust ecosystem support from the broader Llama developer community. So, choosing Llama 2 was a no-brainer for us. And today, we are excited to launch our closed beta. You can scan the QR code and join the waitlist to experience the next generation of Copilots. Thank you.
And now let's hear another example of taking Llama to the enterprise level from Shopify's Mikdad Jaffer.
There's a lot of work required to make things feel like magic. It should feel like something that is seemingly impossible happened without any effort. And when generative AI arrived, everyone rushed to create experiences that felt like magic. And I say magic because Arthur C. Clarke's third law is that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. My name is Mikdad Jaffer. I'm on the team at Shopify that is building AI solutions for our merchants. I want to take you through some of the things we've learned along the way and how we're making magic a part of our product. First, meet Sidekick. Sidekick is an all-aware AI assistant built right into Shopify. It understands all things Shopify and specific context about the merchant. It's able to step in and support merchants with whatever task they're working on. Sidekick can answer questions, fill out forms, edit themes, and even provide analytics. At Shopify, we believe all entrepreneurs are superheroes, and every hero deserves a sidekick. Let's talk through the journey of building this product and share what we've learned so that you can use some of the lessons to get started and build your own AI projects. To build Sidekick, we had to first establish how we wanted it to work and then experiment with the available technology to see how we could get it to deliver on our vision. In many cases, generative AI and its capabilities and implications are still largely unknown. Merchants have questions like, does it know who I am? Does it know my buyers? How will it speak to them? How will it represent me? Will it always be right? What do I do if it hallucinates? These questions all stem from a fear of losing control. So when we were building Sidekick, we started with a simple rule for ourselves to follow. The merchant is the ultimate decider, and they should get to review the content before any changes are saved. To make sure that was true, we gave ourselves a constraint. The AI should only be outputting to the browser and should not have the opportunity to save changes directly to the server. To do that well and still allow Sidekick to take the actions it would need to, we created a domain-specific language, DSL, that was specific for Sidekick. It minimized tokens and created a set of commands that would be executed by our admin and not by the large language model. The model's job would simply be to determine the right set of commands for the task at hand. In order for the model to be effective, though, it needed to have the right context. And context in this case is what the merchant is doing, maybe things that they filled out, where they are specifically, and more specific things about their store. So the context, the commands, and a good knowledge of how to complete that task is what Sidekick needs to make a good decision. When working with large language models, there are usually 3 ways to do so. You can prompt it to reference any existing knowledge. You can use something like retrieval augmented generation to get additional data into that prompt. Or you can fine-tune it so the model has more knowledge about what you want built in. As we were building Sidekick, we opted for a hybrid method that combined all of those approaches together. While there are many models available for fine-tuning, after our initial tests, we felt the best about the Llama V2 models. Llama V2 comes as models with parameters ranging from 7 billion all the way up to 70 billion, and we explored them all. But Sidekick has a lot of tasks to do, and that list will continue to grow. So we chose to go with the higher parameter models, because we felt it would give us the best chance at understanding the changing directions that would necessarily happen. Llama V2 gave us a cutting-edge model on which we could control the fine-tuning process. We could control the training curriculum, the hyperparameters, and observe and learn from the results. So it starts with the right data in the right format. Format-wise, we wanted to do an instruction-based format. The merchant's going to be asking a question or issuing a command, and the system needs to generate an output. Now, the space is really fast-moving, and new things come up almost every day. So we went with the basic JSON structure to house our instructions, and then convert them into whatever the instruction format was going to be for the week. However, the data that we had wasn't really perfectly suited for this format. So we're at our first issue. We have the data about how merchants use Shopify. We have subject matter experts that, when given a prompt, know how to provide what good looks like, but we don't know what the merchant is going to ask for or how they're going to ask for it. And we couldn't really launch something early that wasn't going to work. At the end of the day, our merchants run a business, and we don't want to get in the way of that. We had to release something that was going to help them and not frustrate them. So we turned to synthetic data. The goal was produce large, high-quality data that would improve the model's performance. This is backwards. I need to go back a slide. The lesson we learned here is that you don't need millions of data samples to do this. You can start really small with whatever you have. We started with 1,000 high-quality, hand-curated instruction and output pairs. We then fine-tuned 2 models. A forward model that takes an instruction and generates an output, and then a backward model that, given an output, generates an instruction. We then take all of the data samples we have, about 100,000 outputs, let's say, and we feed them into that backward model, and it determines what the instructions would have been. So now we have 100,000 instruction output pairs, which we feed into the forward model and tell the forward model to score those to see which ones are high quality. At the end of it, even if we only get 1% of that data to be good, we now have 1,000 new instructions, samples to work with. We retrain both models and rinse and repeat over and over again until we get as many samples as we need. The obvious question is, how do you go about creating 1,000 samples in the first place? So for that, we built a lightweight annotation system into our back office that the merchants use, and we put our subject matter experts on it. So why don't I just show you a demo of that system? So here, our subject matter experts log in and they have access to a dev UI. They can select an existing task or create one of the new ones. In this case, what we'll do is we'll create a new one, and we'll start with a simple message. This message is meant to mimic the instruction that the user gets. We start recording all of the actions that a merchant would need to do and finish in this task. In this case, we're creating a 20% discount. And once we're happy with it, we press stop recording, and it'll generate the Sidekick commands. We run it, test it, rate the confidence of it, and then save that answer. Then, alternatively, we have situations where Sidekick is having a conversation, and SMEs can go in there and edit the Sidekick commands. After that, same process. They'll make any edits to the code, run it, test it, and save it once they're happy with it. They're going to be rating it with a confidence level as well, just so that we understand which ones are good and which ones are not. Though, through this, we'll generate those initial samples to get us started, and can also use this to correct responses from Sidekick to improve our data. And while synthetic data is good as a starting place, it doesn't replace the value of real merchant-generated context. This gets us on the right path, but it still has the risk of not being a good enough answer for what the merchant will ask for. So to give Sidekick the best chance of being helpful, we made it output multiple options. The options give the merchant a chance to pick what they like, and in doing so, provide us with explicit feedback to create a better set of options next time. It also saves time for the merchant who doesn't have to ask for another option. So for us, this was a no-brainer. But now that we have the data, it's important to work through how to train these models to be effective at the task that we're giving it. For that, we ran through the good old scientific method and created a number of experiments to understand how parameters and curriculum would make a difference in the effectiveness. And with Llama V2 being open source, we could control all of these aspects ourselves. Now, if you've never fine-tuned a model before, this next part may feel complicated, and I'll do my best, but catch me later if you want to have any follow-up conversations. So Sidekick has multiple tasks that it needs to handle simultaneously, and we found that the parameter-efficient fine-tuning or PEFT methods like LoRa's were great for this. So we experimented through questions like, what's the optimal size of the LoRa bottleneck? Which is the rank? What's the rank that works best? What layers of the transformer should actually be adapted to be effective? Next, we wanted to figure out what the optimal curriculum would be for training. This is like trying to study for 5 tests at the same time. So we're trying to figure out what the best way to learn would be for that model. And we looked at, do we train each task separately and then merge them all at the same time? Do we train all the data, all the task data mixed together? Is it better for the model to learn one task before moving on to a certain other one? So should I learn how to navigate and then how to query data, or the other way around? And then does training a model on general knowledge first make learning from specific examples better later? We'll publish some of our findings as we confirm which of these approaches will be the most effective for others. It's important to remember that effectiveness is judged by the model actually solving the merchant problem. So before this gets into the hands of our merchants, we run each model through a suite of integration tests to make sure it's passing against the main things we want for production. With more human interaction comes more data that we can use for both training and evaluation. That's how we ensure Sidekick delivers something that feels like magic. It's an ongoing process and one that gets better with each iteration. At Shopify, we've made substantial strides with Sidekick. Our aim is to empower our merchants with an AI system that's not just sophisticated, but also trustworthy and easily integrates into their daily operations. Our experience has shown us that the rewards far outweigh the challenges, and each iteration improves speed, proficiency, and most importantly, merchant satisfaction. In navigating the complexities of model, data collection, fine-tuning, and UX design, we've not only elevated our own understanding, but have also set up a roadmap for developing these products in this landscape. So we just walked through the journey of building Sidekick and how you can get started on AI projects of your own using a cutting-edge model like Llama V2. While I'm excited for our merchants to enjoy the fruits of our labor, the beauty of this technology is that it's open source and accessible to everyone. I can't wait to see how you're all going to turn your ideas and this technology into everyday magic. Thanks.
Learn what's new in Metaspark for mobile augmented reality experiences. Joining us to share the updates in this exciting space, welcome Rachel Gallagher.
Hi, everybody. Hello, my name is Rachel Gallagher, and I'm a product manager supporting Metaspark based in London. We cannot wait to spend the next 20 minutes with you to introduce to you a new suite of tools and capabilities for mobile effects. Meta's our platform for building the augmented layer of the metaverse. Today, we're actually going to walk you through 2 major topics. First, through a variety of animation capabilities that will allow you to create more realistic and visually compelling mobile effects. Second, we'll showcase to you a new set of coding and profiling tools that will help you accelerate your creation and iteration, all while improving the performance of your projects. Jumping into the first topic, we'll step you through new capabilities that will enable you to unlock new levels of realism within your projects. First off, skeletal animation blending. So we know that choppy or abrupt transitions within a project can detract from the end user's experience. And we also know that historically, working with animations in Metaspark Studio was a highly manual and complex process. So today, we're now giving you the power to mix and blend up to 8 animation clips before applying them to a 3D object. Now let's see how this is actually achieved with this cute bird project. Using 2 new patches, the Animation Blend and Animation Blend Input, you can define, overlap, combine animation clips to generate completely customized movement without ever having to exit Studio or export a project. Here we have our bird animation in its default or idle state. By using both new patches, we can adjust how the movement is combined with a second animation clip, dance, jump, or fly. Currently, you'll see, we have the weight of our idle animation set to 1 and our secondary animation set to 10. They're automatically being normalized, meaning that they're automatically adjusted to total 1. This will avoid any deformation or unexpected behavior in your rig. Now, normalizing weights is a feature that can be toggled on or off, allowing you to quickly and easily achieve an incredibly precise and specific final product. And as you can probably guess, this feature becomes especially useful when you're testing and iterating on projects with many blended clips. Now, in addition to making the animations in your projects smoother, animation blending allows you to reuse and recombine clips rather than having to import duplicates within a single project. Now, this will help you conserve storage and allow you to reconfigure animations in various combinations to achieve a diverse range of motion for our bird. Now, really what this is the underlying technology for all advanced animation tooling, and the team is excited to bring it to Metaspark Studio. So now that we've highlighted the foundational functionality using patches, we're going to demonstrate how to achieve the same final effect via a new intuitive studio interface, the timeline editor. This will be a much easier way of working with animation clips and allow you to blend them together by just dragging and dropping. The timeline editor improves the speed of iteration by having everything on a single timeline. This makes it much faster and intuitive to visualize on a global time reference scale. Now let's take a look at this project. When you open the timeline editor interface, you'll see all the individual animation clips. From here, you can add a new scene object, add additional clips, trim them, sequence them, delete them, add keyframes, all from this single interface. However, the true power of the timeline editor comes in its ability to work with traditional animations and keyframes on multiple scene objects all in tandem. We can now take 2 completely separate 3D objects and using keyframes generate a seamless, unified animation. We can see this in action here. Our first 3D object, the player, is a simple skeleton mesh. It's blended with a receive animation, dribble, kicking, and then idle. The ball, our second object, is a simple sphere with a material attached to it. The ball here doesn't actually react to the player. Rather, we've set keyframes to map the trajectory of the ball directly to the skeleton, making it appear to interact and react to the dribbling and kicking. So once you have your animation configured exactly as you want it, you'll be able to preview it in Studio, as you can see, and then there's just one more step before it's ready to be published into an effect. So as soon as you create a timeline within a project, you'll notice that there's automatically a custom patch created with all the necessary connections you'll need. In this case, you'll just need a counter. We're going to use a loop here in order to customize your animation, and then you can export it as an effect. And there you go. Your entire timeline is captured in this simple scene graph. The next topic we're going to cover stays consistent with the theme of making things easier for you. And will be and it's coming out a little bit later this year. So other ways you can achieve realism in your projects is through this highly requested feature, shadows. Casting a shadow to an object and from an object are both great ways to define form and add definition to your creations, giving them ultimately a more polished look. Shadows and other tools can be complicated to work with, but we've made it simple to add them to your scenes and get great results right out of the box. Let's take a look at this lizard project. Adding shadows here is as simple as 3 steps. First, selecting our main directional light and turning on the new shadows checkbox. 2, enable casting and receiving from your object, the lizard. And 3, enable receiving from your surface, the terrain she's standing on. And there you go. And there you go, instant shadows, simple as that. Now that looks good, but let's go ahead and adjust the placement to be a little bit more accurate. We can fine-tune the appearance by expanding the property panel and adjusting the frustum properties, making sure that our lizard mesh is fully contained within the new frustum visualizer widget within the scene window. We can also turn down the bias a bit to make sure that the shadow is attached completely to the surface. Now let's compare our lizard pre and post shadows. You can see that the addition of shadows really brings out the shape of the lizard and accentuates details in her texture. Now imagine if this animation could not only look amazing, but could also engage with her environment and even the end user. To show you how to take this lizard to the next level and really bring her to life, I'd like to introduce to you Francesco Grani, another PM on the Spark team.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Let's continue introducing another feature that brings more realism into your creations. We all recognize the unique frustrations of animating a 3D character. Conventionally, there are 2 primary ways to animate a character. The first one is to create keyframe animations using specialized 3D software or the new timeline editor that Rachel just showed us in Spark Studio. Second way is to use motion capture, on a human actor. Today, we're introducing in Spark a third way, using procedural animation. We can see how that works with Lizzie, our 4-legged 3D character. Lizzie's body motion is entirely animated procedurally, using scripting, without any motion capture data or any complex hard-coded keyframe animation. So let's see, for example, how Lizzie can walk from A to B in a virtual environment following user input. You can see Lizzie walks towards the next point, walking on different terrains, moving her legs and body in a realistic way without being driven by keyframe animation. Yeah. Bonus points, she's super cute, by the way. That's a great job, Lizzie. With procedural animation, you can obtain a broader range of realistic, dynamic, and unique movements. Let's have more fun and see a few dance moves. There you go. Again, Lizzie's movements are harmonious and complex, and this is because procedural animation can work with techniques like inverse kinematics, physics simulation, and noise function to achieve even more realistic movements. We can also align a 3D character to user input, or make Lizzie follow another object in the scene, like in this case. So, did we want a faster way to create more realistic animations, or a more performant animation technique? We opted for both here. So this approach accelerates creating animations, for example, by ensuring reusability. You can, in fact, use the same procedural animation on different rigs of the same archetype. And at the same time, just by using procedural animation, you will make your projects more performant by saving a lot of memory. You will find the script for procedural animation in the AR library in Metaspark Studio, and also as new super cute templates. Now, procedural animation will require, of course, some scripting skills to be used. And that brings us to the next topic. For a significant portion of our diverse community of creators, the access to visual programming is essential for moving fast and to use an intuitive interface. However, writing code in Metaspark can empower you to develop more advanced, high-performing, and complex projects. And the Metaspark community has expressed a need for more coding support. So we are thrilled to release new coding tools for Metaspark. This includes a new and more powerful Metaspark extension for Visual Studio Code and a brand new command line interface, the Spark CLI. The Metaspark's command line can be accessed via the terminal or directly in the Metaspark extension. And with the extension, you can now do a few more things. You can, 1, manage multiple projects at the same time. 2, edit code with syntax highlighting and inline suggestions. 3, you can execute commands using UI shortcuts. And 4, you can also debug and test your project. And we will get there later. And with the Metaspark CLI, you can streamline operations. You can run headless operations and commands to create projects, import assets, also in batches, export and run AR effects, and more. For example, you can now also publish an effect to the AR Hub directly from the CLI. Yes. We have also streamlined the process of script editing itself. Finally now, while you're working on a project in Studio, you can switch to script editing with just one single click. Now, these tools, they help you to create with code. But if you're like me, you also want tools that help you to prevent and resolve coding roadblocks. And over the past months, the team has worked to start supporting automated testing. Yes, that is to ensure the functional accuracy and stability of your code. Our first step in that direction is to enable unit testing in Metaspark. Unit tests are the most fundamental layer of testing. And for Metaspark, they will be based on the popular framework Jest. Integrating Jest means that JavaScript and TypeScript creators can easily craft unit tests for Spark without any additional learning. And to make it even simpler, we have also introduced the Metaspark command CodeGen, which creates test projects for you. This command will fully configure the test environment for your project so that you just have to run Spark utest to run your test script. And to stay on stability, we are also introducing the ability to debug Spark scripts through the Metaspark extension. Let's see how that works. To enter the debug mode, of course, first just open a script in your project, and then mirror your effect using the new Metaspark extension. After mirroring, you will be able to enter debug mode. And there, you can insert breakpoints in your code, you can inspect the status of variable, step through your code line by line, and you can also see console logs. You know, these are fundamental tools to address bugs, resolve code roadblocks, and in the end, to unblock your creativity. And there is also more to debugging. You also want to make sure that your effects are running smoothly for the user. And that sometimes can be a challenge. This is why we are introducing profiling in Metaspark Studio. Let's have a look at it. The Metaspark Profiler will allow you to see in real time top-level performance metrics like frame rate, as well as more granular ones, like the number of textures and materials you're using. Let's dive into an example to see it in action. In this version of the fireworks template, we will be able to see that as the firework ignites, the frame rate will drop significantly. There you go. At the same time, the draw code jumps up. What this means is that the high draw count may be the cause of the performance issue. So we suspect that the high draw count may be coming from the high number of particles that we are using during the ignition phase. We might have a overdone it a bit. Let's try reducing the particle count using the patch graph and see if that improves the performance on the frame rate side. There you go. Let's hit refresh and see what happens. Voila. By reducing the number of particles, we were able to reduce the number of draw calls, which in turn led to a significant improvement on the frame rate. What this means in the end is that the effect will run smoothly for the user. You can leverage the profiler to help you debug and optimize your effect so that you can reach a wider range of users and devices. And now that you have all the tools available to optimize your projects and shorten development time, there's just one more thing I want to leave you with today. It is a brand new suite of templates, showcasing the functionalities that we have highlighted here. There's much more than what you see here, actually. They also show you new ways to use the capabilities and features that you already know. They go from interactive games to effects that let you magically transform your environment. These templates will reduce barriers to creation and jumpstart your creativity. Our goal here is to give you the tools you need to build better AR experiences on mobile. And to recap, we'll talk through two main things. One, a variety of new animation capabilities that will allow you to create more realistic and high-performing mobile effects. And two, a set of new tools, like the new Metaspark CLI, the new Metaspark extension, and the profiler that will unlock new ways to create and to debug and optimize your project. We encourage you to go to our learning website, where you can find everything you need to be successful with these tools. And of course, from Rachel and I and the Metaspark team, happy building.
Okay, one more round of applause. That was fantastic, right? I heard it. It was so good. What a fantastic morning we've had also, yes? It's been good. This has been fantastic. There is way more to come this afternoon as well. So for those of you online, the next set of video sessions will be released at 2 p.m. Pacific. So be sure to check out the new sessions and those that you may have missed yesterday. They'll remain available to all of you that are here also as well and wanted to see a session that you might have missed, and you'll be able to catch it anytime you want. So now, for those of you that are still here on campus, developer breakout sessions will begin after lunch at 2 p.m., and there's still time to get a demo in of Quest 3 or the Ray-Ban Meta glasses as well. You don't want to miss that. They look really good. And finally, on behalf of Meta, I just want to thank all of you for joining us here at our very own campus. Not too shabby, right? It's pretty nice digs. It's a very special place for us, and I truly hope you've had a great time here and you've been inspired to build and create as well. Okay, so that is it for our live broadcast for the year, but we hope to see you again next year at MetaConnect 2024. Thanks so much for allowing me to be your host. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate y'all, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.